I'm PhillllChabbb, one of the team, and I'm here to provide my part of the story. Another day ended with nothing to prove, and so day turned to night, and I, PhillllChabbb, soon took watch over the dark, rotten corners of the house. There was nothing to be seen at first, but halfway into my watch, I noticed it. There was noise, a rhythmic one just outside the room. It was a light tapping, footsteps that I believed were a child's. As whatever demon was outside walked, I heard it drag something behind it, something odd and scraping. Surely the accursed doll we'd heard so much about. Kieran and the others had tried to find the shrine earlier in the day, yet they found nothing. Suddenly, I was surprised by an echoing noise in the mansion. It almost sounded like hundreds of clocks ticking all at once. But there are no clocks in the house. Well, except one, a large, monstrous clock in the centre of the room I was in, the ballroom. Yet that one was far too ancient to have worked. I walked over to the device and checked it. It did not tick. The clock was simply broken, which meant somewhere in the house was apparently a room full of ticking clocks that weren't there before. Then, before I could alert anyone, I heard a child scream out in the darkness. I needed to investigate, and so I wakened Caleb Azalea, my partner, and the only person I trust. "Ozzy!" I whispered harshly. "Bubbles." "What?" he murmured, jolting awake. "There's something out there," I told. "We need to go check it out." "Ah, wonderful. Let's go check out the creepy noises outside," Azalea agreed. I pulled him to his feet, and the two of us soon found a camera and a flashlight. We exited the ballroom, making sure not to awake any of the others, and went in search of the strange noise. Within moments of leaving the room, we heard the noise of running and something being dragged behind. "It's coming from upstairs," Azalea whispered. "Indeed," I replied. We began to make our way upstairs, climbing the twisting stairs, trying not to make a noise. When we got to the top, we saw something dart around the corner. It appeared to be a young child dressed in red, jump away, carrying a red-hooded doll in her arms. This was it, the ghost of Marie Childress. But something wasn't right. Where was the scraping noise we had heard earlier? I suddenly felt something cold pass through me, and I fell to the floor, dazed. When I looked up, I saw that someone was walking towards the hole where the child had gone. "What the kittens?" Azalea snarled. Look!" It was a man dressed in an old, expensive suit, which was splattered with blood. In one hand was a cane, and in the other was what appeared to be a strange hunk of metal, decorated with bizarre symbols and gemstones. Towards the end were metal claws resembling a hand, and we saw that it was coated in dried, crimson, red blood. "What the?" I murmured. The ghost passed the corner, and before we could chase it, Azalea tapped me on the shoulder, and he showed me the scene below us, on the first floor. There was a man in a dark suit and a fedora, the child, and who I assumed to be the child's caretaker. "And may you be?" the caretaker asked. "I am no one but a merchant of the night, a travelling salesman, if you will," the man in the fedora simply responded. "I saw this house from a distance away, and I wonder if anyone here would like to purchase my wares." "What do you have to sell?" "Take a look." The merchant produced a bag and laid out the contents on the floor. A clock was there, the very clock located in the ballroom, and more strange items, like a crystalline shrunken head, some sort of animal's paw, and what seemed to be a lizard preserved in a jar. "That clock looks nice," the caretaker answered. "How much is it?" "Excellent," responded the salesman. "I only ask that you give me something of equal value, perhaps that necklace around your neck." The caretaker took it off, the necklace laced with jewels and crosses, and gave it to the merchant. "The deal is met, and the contract is sealed," spoke the man. "And for the child, perhaps this doll, as a gift of gratitude," the man decided, placing the straw doll into her hands. The child's eyes lit up in joy. "Thank you," the caretaker thanked. "I didn't quite catch your name." "Oh, I go by many names. My name, of all things, is unimportant to you." And with that, the man opened the door and vanished into the night. The ghosts of the past appeared to fade from our very eyes, returning to the original darkness of the house. The candles that had mysteriously been lit were reduced to dust, the child and the doll gone. Behind us, we heard more running footsteps, and we saw a glimpse of the child running down the stairs, running to the door, and trying to unlock it. Then we heard the scraping noise of metal upon wood, and we turned to see the man chasing the child, walking slowly. We saw the man's face, and we saw only nothing but a featureless form, save for two menacing moon-white eyes. He began to make his way downstairs, the iron device catching itself on the steep stairs as he walked. The child, for her part, managed to get the door open, and from the outside came two cats, meowing and snarling at the man. The child ran, the doll in her arms. "We need to go after her!" I exclaimed. Azalea seemed to agree, and we darted past the mysterious cloaked man and after the child. We ran outside the house, seeing the child climb onto a tree and up into a tree house that was definitely not there when we first saw the house. We decided to climb the tree after the child, and we soon found ourselves in the tree house. It was dark, and the child was nowhere to be seen. It was all empty except for a skeleton in the corner, dried and withered away by time. "What the kittens?" Azalea swore. "I don't know either." And then the treehouse seemed to vanish, and we fell from the tree that wasn't there, landing on the ground with a thud. A moment later, we soon regained ourselves, only to find that we had landed on something. "There's something here," Azalea groaned, searching the ground. I think it's bones." "You're right," I began. "Human bones." With our flashlights, we saw several bones sticking out of the ground, and we soon began to push away wet mud with our hands, causing more and more bones to surface. And then we found the skull, a strange, impossibly pale thing with an elongated head that seemed to curve around the back. The eye sockets were oddly large, and the teeth recovered nearby were sharp, all for eating meat. "What the?" I murmured, looking at the bizarre skull. It couldn't have been human. I then noticed that around where ears should have been were instead small protrusions that oddly looked like horns. This can't be human." "What could it be?" Azalea agreed. "Of all the things we expected to find, this skeleton wasn't one we'd expected." "Look," I said, holding up a tiny something I found in the mud. It was some sort of bell, a large pale white one with odd, strangely familiar symbols on it. It was round, and it was one commonly seen on sleighs. I shook it, but it didn't ring. And then, before I could speak a word, an insect crawled out of it and jumped into the dirt. But before it could escape, I saw Azalea empty what seemed to be a small canister of bubble fluid and then capture the insect with it. "Thanks." "No problem." We managed to seal the jar, trapping the odd insect within. I held it up to my face and saw that it looked like a winged scorpion, yet its head oddly reminded me of a lizard's. "Azalea," I began, "could you awaken the others? I'll stay here and try to uncover more bones and anything important." "You got it." Azalea took off, running to alert the others to our discovery. I studied the bell, and then saw that above a particular set of symbols was a phrase in Latin. I knew a bit of Latin, and I did my best to translate the phrase. Blessed are those who hear the sound. What does it mean? And then I remembered an eerily similar bell I had read about from a post on the internet. I remember the user had talked about discovering a bell exactly like this one, and that, when they rang it, they could hear the most wonderful noises. But none of their friends could hear the bells ring, confusing everyone. I remember the user posted an audio file of the bell, and I couldn't hear anything, and neither could the majority of the commenters. Yet 2 others heard the noise. These 2 others revealed they had bells exactly the same as the original poster. One of the commenters claimed he had purchased a bell from an antique shop. Apparently, most people seemed to miss the bell, yet he oddly felt that he was drawn to it. The other spoke of visiting a museum when she struck up a conversation with someone who claimed to be a travelling merchant. They talked about artifacts, and soon she said the merchant offered her the bell in exchange for a wedding ring she wore. She also mentioned that the man spoke in riddles, often using the word contract or deal for the exchange. This seemed to match the description of the merchant of the night, the man we had just seen strike a deal with the caretaker. I also remembered that a year later, exactly on the same day, the 3 who had the bells posted something about leaving forever and being called to enlightenment. After that, they vanished and never posted again. With inexplicable timing, I suddenly got a notification on my phone, and I checked it to see that impossible. I had pinned the message board on the bells, and now, just as I discovered the bells, one of the commenters had mysteriously posted one more message, years after she had vanished. I clicked on the new post, and it was simply titled Reitanna. There was a photo just below it, and it was an elongated skull, complete with large eye sockets and horn-like protrusions on the sides. And then, from my Messages tab on the app, came a single notification from the same user who had just posted. I checked, and I clicked on the chat request. The generic chat system activated, stating, "Welcome to your chat with SVTOFTGDS." And then came a single message. "Don't let them find you." Confused and afraid, I typed back, "Who are you? What do you want?" And then came a series of texts, all saying one single word, over and over again. Reitanna. It continued on and on, until suddenly my phone screen flashed wide, and it remained stuck on the photo of the skull posted by that user. "Damn it!" I growled. I threw my phone down. A moment later, I found that it had rebooted itself. I checked back to the app, looking through my messages to find the user. But she was gone. Or rather, her account had simply been deleted. I had no way of replying, leaving me to scroll through the endless repetition of the word Reitanna, whatever that meant. As I looked through the endless sea of the same word, I caught one that was different in a way. It was odd, and I quickly scrolled back to get a closer look at it. There was nothing there, but I could have sworn it was a picture. Something else. Something that I could have sworn to look just like a certain straw doll. Soon, I heard the noises of Azalea and the others coming to inspect our discovery. Still, I couldn't help but wonder what exactly it was I'd seen.